In the summer of 1976, on stage 12 at Paramount Studios, John Wayne stood beneath the hot lights, filming what would become his final movie, The Shootist. No one said it out loud at the time, but there was a quiet understanding in the air. Wayne was 69 years old. His movements had slowed, his body no longer obeying him the way it once had. But when the camera rolled, he still carried that unmistakable presence, the kind that had defined the Western for decades. The set was closed that day, quiet and focused. Only a handful of crew members remained as they worked on the final gunfight scene. Wayne was determined to get it right. This wasn't just another scene. It was his last stand, his final moment as the Duke. They had been filming for hours. The scene required him to draw his gun, fire, move, and fire again, all with the fluid confidence of a man who had done it 1,000 times before. And he had. But that was years ago. Now his hands trembled slightly. His timing was off. Take after take, something felt wrong. Frustration built quietly inside him. He could feel it. The difference between who he had been and who he was now. Then there was a knock at the stage door. When it opened, Clint Eastwood stepped inside, hat in hand. He was 46, already a legend in his own right. The man who had redefined the Western with a darker, more realistic edge. The two men had never been close. They respected each other, but they represented two entirely different eras. Wayne believed Eastwood's films were too violent, too raw. Eastwood believed Wayne's were too clean, too simple. Still, when Eastwood asked if he could watch, Wayne welcomed him in. Eastwood took a seat quietly off to the side as filming resumed. Again and again, Wayne attempted the scene. Again and again, it fell just short of what he wanted. Finally, the director called a break. Wayne walked over to Eastwood, his limp more noticeable now, his body clearly worn from years of work and recent illness. "What do you think?" Wayne asked. Eastwood hesitated. Wayne pressed him. He didn't want politeness. He wanted truth. "It looks good," Eastwood said carefully. Wayne shook his head. He knew better. He could feel it. "I look slow," he admitted, like an old man pretending to be something he's not. There was a brief pause before Eastwood replied, "You are an old man playing a cowboy." But that's the story. That answer changed something. They talked for a moment, and Wayne revealed what was really bothering him. After decades of acting, he realized that what he had mastered was not real speed, but movie speed. It looked good on camera, but it wasn't authentic. Eastwood, on the other hand, had trained in real fast draw. He had worked with professionals, learning technique rooted in reality, not performance. Wayne looked at him and said, "Show me." A gun belt was brought from the prop room. Eastwood strapped it on, adjusted it naturally, like it belonged there. The set grew quiet. Everyone sensed something unusual was about to happen. Eastwood stood still for a moment. Then, without warning, his hand moved. The draw was almost invisible. In less than a blink, the gun was out, aimed and ready. The room fell silent. Wayne stepped closer, studying it. "Do it again." Eastwood did. Just as fast, just as smooth. A stopwatch confirmed what they had just witnessed. It was world-class speed. Wayne examined the gun, almost as if searching for a secret hidden inside it. But there was none. The secret was skill, practice, precision. Then Wayne said something no one expected. "Teach me." The crew was cleared from the stage. What followed was not a performance, but a lesson. Eastwood broke down the fundamentals: relaxation, efficiency, eliminating wasted motion. Everything Wayne had learned over 40 years of filmmaking had been built for the camera, not for reality. Wayne struggled at first. His instincts fought against him. His body resisted change. But he kept trying. Draw after draw, he improved. Slowly. Not dramatically, but enough. Enough to feel the difference. Enough to understand. After hours of work, the two men sat side by side, exhausted. Wayne admitted something rare. He wasn't just making a movie anymore. He was trying to do something honest. Something real. He knew his time was running out. The cancer had returned. This film would be his last. "I just want to do it right," he said quietly. In that moment, there was no rivalry, no ego, just two actors, two generations, sharing something deeper than technique. They stood one final time, side by side, and drew together. Eastwood was faster. There was no question. But Wayne's draw was different now. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't as quick. But it was real. And that was enough. When they watched the playback, someone suggested editing it, making Wayne appear faster. He refused. "Leave it," he said. "Show the truth." That day, something rare happened. Not a passing of the torch, but something more meaningful. Two different versions of the Western met in the middle. The old and the new didn't compete. They learned from each other. When Shootist was released, it was praised as Wayne's most honest performance. You could see it in his eyes, the weight, the understanding, the cost of everything he had spent a lifetime portraying. Years later, when Eastwood made Unforgiven, that same honesty was there. The same idea that violence had a cost. That legends fade. That time changes everything. Wayne passed away in 1979, but that moment on stage 12 lived on. Not because of speed, not because of technique, but because an aging legend at the very end of his life chose truth over illusion and had the courage to learn even when time was no longer on his side. That's what made it real. That's what made it history.